Just when America has reached a breaking point with division, visionary influencer Danni Benson's I'm Proud of You Sis bro movement taps into the pulse and heartbeat of a culture radically torn. But this loving mom's voice of reason and calm has received national recognition.
How do you balance having your children and always traveling with the Yankee organization?
When I became a dad, I said that I would always love like a mother.
I feel like I have to try certain things or act a different way because I know some people or some kids.
So join Danni Benson as she celebrates her special guests on her show and highlights their gifts and contributions to our world.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danni Benson, host of I'm Proud of You Sis. Thank you for joining and watching this week. I so appreciate everyone's support and love. Please like, share, and follow. I'm Proud of You Sis. And sometimes I'm proud of you, bro. So I don't want to leave the men out because I'm proud of humanity in general. And thank you for joining I'm Proud of You Sis. I just want to say I have an amazing guest. Well, I am an amazing gift. And my guest is an amazing gift also. But I have an amazing guest who is an author in children's books. So I'm excited to have her on. I'm so proud of her. And she is an author of a parenting book called Directed Arrows, 5 Fundamental Principles for Every Parent, with a study guides and 2 children's books called Andy's 5 Arrows and Reagan the Resilient. I mean, it's all about being resilient these days, and we have to build our babies to be resilient for things that are happening that, life is so progressive now and so advanced that, we have to build our babies resilient. We have to build our babies to have the armor they deserve to get ready for the tackles of life, and if we don't armor our babies, that's why I'm so happy about Self-Love Day. I am so for the children. I'm so for the babies, to honor them, to give them armor so they can get ready for what life throws their way. It's all about building their self-esteem, their resiliency, their self-worth very early in life, saying affirmations every day in the mirror so these kids really start believing what they are saying to themselves, because we are in a fragile society now where mental health is on an all-time high. After COVID, a lot of people, the most things probably people call in sick for is for Mental Health Day, because there's so much going on in our lives, and the weekend sometimes, or 2 days off sometimes, is just not enough with everything that people have to manage in life. And depression is on an all-time high. Mental health is on an all-time high. Even anxiety is on an all-time high. And just imagine what our babies are going through. They might not be able to communicate with us exactly how they're feeling because they don't have the experience to know the right words to explain it to mom, to dad, to teacher, to care worker, grandma, grandpa, family members. But if we're feeling that ourselves as adults, you best believe our children, even though they're not expressing it, is feeling that also. So that's why I'm so happy to have Deborah V. Morgan come on. I'm Proud of You Sis. Please welcome Deborah V. Morgan to the show. Hi, Deborah. How are you today?
I'm great, Danni. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yes, I believe in giving people their flowers while they're alive. I believe the grassroots of the community should be recognized for the hard work they are doing, even if it's in their community, in their churches, in their schools. Not only celebrities should be honored and recognized, it's the everyday people who are the foundation of this country should also be recognized, because their efforts is making this country move positive in a more positive direction than, of course, the other way around. So I want to say thank you so much for coming on our show. My show, I'm Proud of You Sis. So how you doing today?
I am so excited to be here. I'm fabulous. It's a beautiful day here in Atlanta, Georgia. The weather's going to be 72 today.
You know what?
It's 72 today.
God, everyone be making me like so jealous sometimes. But I, you know what it is? I'm a seasons person. So it's weird. It's like I love the summer, but then I love the change of clothes and it's cold, but at least it only lasts 4 months. Each season lasts only 4 months. So by the time I get tired of it, the next season is coming. But yeah, I would love to have like nice weather all year round. But I know my kids would, because they always say, "Mommy, it's so cold outside. Can the summer just last forever?" And so they always ask that question. And I say it's based on where you live. So, maybe you'll pick a warm place to live. But we're talking about today about having our kids start forming resilient children based on this craziness that's going on in our world. There's so many things that's being thrown to our children. And, when we were growing up, I think we were kind of taught differently from our parents based on all of our parents, just all of them, mostly all of them working so hard to put food on the table. So we had to hear a lot of no's to get to what we want. But now these days, what's happening is, because we're making up for maybe what our parents didn't give us, now we're like, here, because we always kind of said that when we're growing up. When I grow up, I'm gonna make sure my kids don't go through this. But now I feel like it's the opposite effect, because most of our kids is not being built resilience, because they're being given so much stuff that they don't know how to hustle, how to have that drive to get what they want. So just share some insight on that, because you have so many amazing books addressing those issues.
Well, first, I like to start out by what you said, which is the root and the key is the parent. The children aren't resilient because we've allowed that to happen in their lives. The children become resilient by watching the parent. If we're giving them things and we're not teaching them how to bounce back from life's disappointment, it's not their problem, it's our fault. And so I like to capture the heart of the parent, because you're the model, you're the first teacher, you are the key to the success of your children. And so when we grab a hold of that, knowing that they model our behavior, how do children learn resilience is by watching their parents. How you bounce back from a disappointment. What are you saying in the house when things don't go your way? The kids are picking up your cues, they're picking up your language, they're modeling you. And I love a scripture in the Bible that talks about how the seeds produce after their own kind. Think about it as a parent. You're producing after your own kind. So this is why you are the key to the success of your children. So, I could go on and on about this, but when I was an early childhood educator, we had this model that the county wanted us to adopt, that everybody wins, no kid loses. And that is setting children up for failure, because we don't win all the time. We don't get on the team that we try out for all the time. So we have to learn how to strengthen the inner man of our children, to let them know that life does come with disappointments, but then also show them and tell them how to bounce back. And how are we doing that? By them watching us. I like what you said. Some kids don't have the language. So where are they going to get it from? YouTube, TikTok, Facebook? No, they need to get that language from their mom, their dad, auntie, grandma. I love everything that you said is the heartbeat of what I stand for in helping children to become resilient. It takes the community. The African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. That is so true, because moms and dad, you can't be all to your children, but you can surround them with the right people that speak the same language, have the same values, and will tell your children what you would say in that instance. So it's up to the parent. Again, the parent is the key to everything for the success of the family. I'm sorry, did I say too much?
No, because you are right. Because kids might not be verbal, but they're always watching you. Because sometimes I'm thinking my kids are not paying attention. That's why I'm very careful what I do and say around my children, because they're so smart that
Mark.
they hear it, and then like weeks later they'll like repeat it, and I'm just like, what? Like, what'd you just say? She's like, oh yeah, you said that like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, huh? So I want parents to be aware the whole terminology is not do as I do, like not do as I say, not as I do. No longer applies to our children in this day and time, because these kids will really check you if you do one thing and then do something different and then say, well, you did this and you're telling me that it's not okay, but you did it, and they will. So even if we might feel like it's disrespectful to talk back to an adult, we do have to take responsibility of what we do in front of our kids and explain to them that when you're wrong, you are wrong, because that's how you build the resiliency. If you have like a double standard, then they think also it's a double standard for them. And this is how sometimes they get into trouble, because they're like, well, mom did it, I can do it. And they don't understand the differentiation. So it is a parent. The parent is the model. And I know a lot of people will blame the school, the teachers. But do you understand how we feel like the parent is the CEO of the family?
Yes.
Like we can't blame the support group of the family. It ends up being the mom or the dad. I mean, everyone else is a supplement, right?
Correct.
Grandma, grandpa, the school, your pastor, the community. But at the end of the day, accountability all falls down on the parents. Yes. So what can we say to parents in this day and age now to build their resiliency and to make them understand how you react to the situation? Your kids are also seeing that also.
Yes. One thing I want to say to parents, because I used to be a parent like this, where you felt you had to be everything 100% for your children, which causes stress in you. And we have to realize we can create a village. And this is what I live by, which has gotten me through all my parenting. I have 3 adult daughters. The oldest is 36. Have middle 32, and the youngest is 28. And I have a village of friends that I've had for 30 years. And what do I mean by the village? Building a group, a network of people who are like-minded, have similar values that you have, that help to support you. Not only were they there physically, like if I couldn't go pick the kids up from school because I had to work late, I have a friend that I trust. These are people that you trust with your life, that they're going to speak the same language and give your children the same answer that you would, And so I used to think that I had to be everything to my children. But then I realized God never intended for me to be everything to them. He put other people in my life to deposit into my children the things that I couldn't, or that I didn't know how. And so to strengthen a parent is to help you understand you're not alone. You don't have to parent alone. I never believed that parenting was meant to be done alone, that it's always been meant to be done in community. Family is community. That's our first community, is our family. And so to strengthen the parent, the very first thing I would say to them is, you don't have to be all. You don't have to do all. Know your giftings, know your children, know what you can pour into them. And then those that, what you don't have, network with other people, and they can give to your children what you can't. And that kind of helps you balance things out, to know that, yes, I'm an amazing parent, and an amazing parent to me is one who can ask for help, one who feels like, I don't have to struggle by myself. I have people that will get into trenches with me and uphold my arms during difficult times, because we're all going to face, challenging times and in every area of our lives. But how do we get through these times? Is with people who love us, care for us, and are there for us. I have the same village from 30 years ago, and now I'm helping them with their children and grandchildren. But we're so close. We understand each other. We know each other's faults. We know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we help each other. So I would encourage parents today, you don't have to have 25 people in the village. That's one thing I want to say. You can have 2 or 3 people, 4 to 5, however you decide that you trust your life with, that is going to help you spiritually, mentally, and even emotionally and financially. I mean, the village is powerful. And so when you as a parent feel like you're struggling, I'm having a rough day, I can't make it, call that village. Call that person. I need you to come over and rescue me. I have a friend. We used to say we're roostering each other. She's in my village. When I'm going left, okay, it's time for you to rooster me. Rooster me meaning get me back in line. Help me think right. Help me think straight, whatever the issue is. So again, it goes back to community. We need each other. To be a successful parent, know that you don't have to do this alone. Even to the single mother, or single dad, build that network of individuals that can help build you up. So,
because that's what I was going to ask you, because when I was, growing up and my siblings were growing up, I saw my parents, they did have the village. The communities were a lot tighter. Like, we knew the neighbors. Like, we used to hang out from 7 in the morning to the sun goes down. My parents were not afraid of where we were, because there was no cell phones back then. Calling us, like,
yes.
or tracking us. The rule was, when the lights went down, that was your time to come on the porch. That was your time to be like, come. Yes. And they knew we were on each other's, like, porches, or because it was a village, because we knew our neighbors. So our parents felt okay, like, letting us go outside, right? Because we trusted the community, because we knew the community, like you said, thought the same way. We trusted. We knew our kids were okay and safe. And also, the community can reprimand your child if they were doing something wrong, and the parents wouldn't go over there and curse their parent out. How dare you?
Yes.
Back in the day. So, but it's different now. I'm not going to say in a lot of communities, but you tend to just wave at your neighbors now. Hi, how you doing? It's rare that you go to your neighbor's house. It's even more rare that you have your kids play in the streets. From the time the sun comes up to the sun goes down, because our world has gotten a lot of crazier, and normal, I say, looks crazy. Like normal people, crazy people can look normal now, because back then your parents taught you look for crazy, but now I feel like, because Google is accessible, the crazies can act normal and kids can't really know the difference. So what do you say to this day and time, where friendships are harder to keep, because of loyalty, social media? We don't really know our neighbors like we used to back in the day, where you could have your kids go to their house, because you don't know what each other houses are doing, and if they have the same moral values as you, because the communication is not there. How do you navigate how things are now? Because not everyone has the village. There's a lot of single mothers and single dads out there that feels overwhelmed, because everyone is busy now. So the fact that, back then we had a little bit more time for family time. Now it's like everyone is ripping and running. So how do we adapt what you're telling us into what's going on right now, presently, for a lot of people who are doing this on their own?
Well, I believe it has to be a mindset change. When I say that your village doesn't have to include, like I said, 25 people. That village could be 1 or 2 people that you trust. And so we have to get out of self mode. Our world today, we are so selfish. like even driving on the road. We know the law says don't be on your cell phone and drive, but yeah, you see people driving on the freeway. Selfish. You could harm somebody because you're choosing to make a decision to look at your phone while you're driving, knowing that you're breaking the law. You know, I could give so many examples of how we're stuck in individualism. That's to have a mindset change. You referenced back when we were younger, we were more community minded, oriented. And now it's just all about self, me, myself, and I. And that does not work in this society. You know, we see the repercussions of that mindset being played out. You just named all the things, you know, we don't feel comfortable because we don't know our neighbors. Well, we can do something about that. You can make a decision and a choice. Go meet your neighbor. We are filling our days with, we got to do this, we have to do this. And we're not valuing relationships, people, you know? So it has to be a mindset change and a shift in the way that we're thinking today. We're just focused so much on ourselves, our four and no more. You know, even in some families, people don't get together in families. Why? Why is this happening? Why do we feel more compelled to be on a computer than be in a conversation face to face with somebody that we love, or, you know, a part of our family? And so I think it really goes back to, what do you value? What's important to you? It always goes back to your choice. I read this book that said every choice has a matching consequence. And when you think about it, every choice that we have made as a society to be stuck on self has damaged our relationships. I was talking with a gentleman earlier today. We don't write love letters anymore. We send a text message. What?
I know. It's crazy. Like, it's not even like the romantic side is done. It seems like it's done with, we used to have 4-page letters. We used to be on the phone for hours. Now it's like, it seems like we're just texting, and it's just texting just seems so, you misinterpret it, and it's just not personal. So you're right. You're not really building the relationship when you're just texting, because you don't hear the you don't feel the non-verbalness. You just see words on a piece of like text.
Or I send a little emoji. What?
Yeah, and you know, and that's how they're expressing their feelings. It's like a smile, a tear, a laughter. So it's still not really expressing the true feeling, because now you're using like a face to just say, oh, this is how I feel, but it's still not as personal as it being you.
Yes. And so that's what we need to get back to. Let's get back to changing our mindset and involving people in our lives. And yes, we have to be careful. And I'm not saying that. I mean, we need wisdom on every level. So that's just given. So I'm talking about, as an individual, a mom, a dad, teacher, mentor, how can I insert myself in somebody's life to bring out the best in them? Like you're talking about these children, how are we bringing out the best in our children? Well, first of all, we have to spend time with them. And that doesn't mean we're in the same room, everybody on the iPad and on the phone. That is not spending time. And
I hear that from parents all the time. Like, they really think quality time is we're both in the room, both on our phones, and that's quality time. No, quality time is actually an action you do together. Not about the self. Like, I'm on my phone, you're on your computer, but we're sharing the same space. That is not spending quality time. Quality time is a verb. It's actually doing something together, and people need to understand that. That's, you know, and the kids need it. The kids always, my kids will say, oh, Mom, can you just get off the phone for a second, or get off you know, social media? So I've lessened my time around even being on social media when they're around, because they'll say, Mommy, I want to talk. As soon as they say that to me, it's like, okay, that means like we stop everything, what we're doing, and I'm going to now give the quality time my kids need, because if I don't give them the quality time now, when they're teenagers, you know what they're going to say to me? Well, when I wanted to talk to you, you didn't give me the time. So why you want to talk to me now? Exactly. So you have to foster all of the good habits now, so it is normalized as they are aging and get older, that when they're 16 years old and I'm saying, hey, I need to talk to you, they're going to say, okay, mom, because this is something that is normalizing. Mm-hmm. So you are right. I think the society, we are as parents too, and everyone else have to start being aware of our actions. Is it selfless or is it selfish?
Mm-hmm. Good point.
You know, you got to start asking your that question, because you are right. A lot of parents feel like because everyone's on an iPad in the same room, that's quality time. What about let's just put the iPads away, put the phones away, and let's actually sit down and have dinner together and actually talk. Because when you talk, it emotes emotions more than if you're, you know, you were just saying earlier, sometimes your kids are in another room and they're texting you. And it's hilarious because kids do that all the time. They'll be upstairs and be like, what are we eating? Can you just come downstairs and ask me? Like, what are you're like in the same house with me. What are you doing? Or sometimes they will be on another couch and I'm on the other couch and they'll text me like, Mom, can I talk to you? I'm looking at them like, I'm right here. Yes. So we have to, as parents, start making quality time a number one factor in a kid's life again. And I know I'm talking a little bit too much, but with the iPad and with the social media, we need to not take that as a place of a babysitter, because I have a lot of friends who say that. Sometimes I'm doing something and I just, here's the iPad. You could be on it. I'm on the phone. So we have to start not having anxiety of like throwing the iPad as a solution to babysitting our kids so we could get something done. We have to find a more positive way. I mean, what do you think about that? Find a more positive way to interact with our children instead of throwing the iPad at them.
Yes, I what you said was an example that I put in my book. Having dinner at the dinner table, number one, it gives you opportunity to be together, but it also gives you the opportunity to see how your children think, because and how they're processing life. So, and the dinner table should be a safe space where they don't feel judged. They are able to say in a respectful manner. You teach them, you set the ground rules that they can say what's going on with them without feeling judged, and that you are actively listening to them. You get to hear how they process life. You get to hear the depths of their heart while you're eating dinner, because, you know, if you sit down and say, okay, tell me what's going on in your life, they're going to close down. But if we're just eating dinner and, you know, everybody's passed the rolls and then, so what happened at school today? So you're listening, but you're not making them feel judged or in the spotlight, because sometimes a lot of kids like the spotlight, but some don't. But the dinner table is a place where you can learn about your children and create. And I just want to say, you know, we only have a limited amount of time to capture them. And you don't want the iPad or Google or any of those things influencing the way your children think more than you. You should be the greatest and the strongest voice of influence in their life. And that doesn't happen just while, you know, just, okay, today we're having this lesson right here. No, it's every day, all day, when they get up, when they go down, while we're at dinner. You're empowering them to be who God created them to be by giving them the opportunity to ask you questions. I think this was one of the things that parents are afraid of, allowing their children to ask them questions. But you have to allow your kids to ask you questions. I know when I was growing up, we weren't allowed to ask our mom why. You know, it was because I said so. But when I say allow them to ask questions, you can gauge that. You can say, "What, Mom, why do I have to be in the house by 7:30? because I said so. No, you can say, I chose 7 o'clock for you to be in the house because this is what happens when things are going on past 7 o'clock outside. You this. You give them the reason up front so that they don't have to make you feel like you have to give a reason. You're giving the reason up front. So
I just want to say for our viewers who are watching on Optimum, Channel 20 every Saturday at 9 a.m. Please join us on this show hosted by me, Proud of You Sis, Danni Benson, and our great guest. I'm so proud of her, Deborah Morgan. We are going to take a break for a second and continue the conversation for our live audience. Thank you. Hi. Okay, so let's continue what you were saying because it was very profound.
I know, I just get so passionate about that.
No, I get passionate too because I know what you're saying, but help parents out a little bit because you're so knowledgeable in this topic of what you were saying.
Well, as a parent, I learned that it's okay to tell your children, I'm sorry, that I did the best that I could with the knowledge that I had at that time. Like I said, I have 3 adult daughters, and this is why the community is so important, because we can learn from each other. So I wrote this book to share my experience. As a young mother, I was a mother at 22. And I really didn't know anything. I had my mom and my grandmother to help me, but some things I had to discover on my own. And there are things that people have to discover on their own. But there are some things you don't have to discover on your own because we walk that way. And so realizing to be the voice of reason for my children when they're young, answering their questions, giving them that safe space to come share anything they want with me. I learned that lesson early on as a parent. And now today, my adult daughters trust me enough to ask me questions, tell me things. They're not going to tell you everything, but they trust me enough to tell me what's going on in their lives. And for those that are adult, have children, and they're of adult parents, I say, when your kids, your adult children invite you into something, that's when you say something. If they don't invite you in, you just stay in the background praying. But the moment they invite you in, so Mom, what do you think about this? Then that helps them understand. You asked me, so whatever I present to you, you're willing to hear because you've invited me in. So I'm saying that when your children are young, you teach them that what they think matters to you. Their friends matter to you. So you're building this up from children, teenagers, to when they get to adults. So they feel comfortable in that teenage error. Oh my gosh, you're gonna feel like we are enemies because they want to go this way and you're trying to train them. So it starts when they're young. You only have a small amount of time to capture that. So capture it. That's what I would say to parents. Those days of forming, guiding, shaping are a limited time. When you miss that opportunity, it's not that you can't get back, but it's going to be much more harder to do it when they're teenagers. If you haven't taken the time when they're young to you have to invest in your children. And what my question to the listening audience, what are you willing to invest in your children? What are you willing to invest in your family? And it's not just money. Yes, you have to invest money, but you have to invest you. You are the greatest gift. When you started this session off, when you said a gift, you are the greatest gift that your children will ever receive. Why? Because everything you are, they're watching, they're listening. I love what you said about that. I even want to take it to those nonverbal cues. They're watching. They are watching those.
My kids watch everything.
Yes.
No, I get it. And then I have one of them who is very inquisitive, and she'll be like, well, Mommy, you did this, so why can't I? And the whole thing about, I have to explain, I'm an adult, you're a child. There's a time and a place that you can do those things. But right now you're learning the building blocks of doing, of you learning like step by step. So it's, and you are so right. And I know it's so hard for parents to invest their time now in the days of, we have to work so much and so much activity is going on. But you know what I have to say? Our parents, I don't even know. Do you think our parents invested in us? I mean, is it hypocritical to say, because back then they had one job, two jobs. I remember doing homework by myself. My parents didn't really help me out. What happened that was different back then than now with the investment part? Because you'll hear some people say, well, my parents were working so much, they never invested time in me, and I still turned out good. So what do you think was the difference 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago as opposed to right now when it comes to children?
I'm going to go back to, it was the community, the very thing that you said when we started out. The community helped take care of when the latchkey kid, grandma, we lived in proximity to each other, to our neighbors, our aunts, our uncles, cousins. We had a strong bond with the neighbor next door who would let you in if you, who had a key to your house if your children forgot the key. So I think the times were different because the community was invested in everybody.
Right. You're right.
So that's why when my mom had to work, my aunts would pick us up, or we would go to my grandmother's house. I'm with you. Sometimes I remember, like, where was my mother when I was doing my homework? But then I remember, oh, my cousin was helping me, so we have more family support. And now, we are more there's nothing wrong with, we have to work because we need money to pay bills and do all, I get it. But we have to come to a point, what I said before, we only have a small amount of time to capture
a small window.
Our world is not like it was 20, 30 years ago. So we have already identified the community support is different. A lot of things are different. So parents, I'm saying to you, whatever time you have, make the most of it. Don't allow TV, iPads, video games, movies to capture the heart of your children. When you do have some time, we make time for things that are valuable to us. I'm sorry, we do.
And our kids should be as valuable,
more valuable,
because these are the kids that's going to be entering the society. Because sometimes I watch these kids and I'm like, who's their parents? Who is parenting these kids? Like, why are they doing the things that they're doing? Just a mindset is just like, wow, like he's 16 years old, he's 15 years old, he's 12 years old, hanging out at 12 in the morning, and everyone goes, where's the parents? Like, what? So I have to say this, our country puts a lot of blame on the parents, and I feel that our country needs to also, companies, just also put time for the parents to be able to parent their children. Yes. A lot of times these companies want you to work so many hours and do so many things. So what happens is it's a blind leading the blind. It's the kids leading the kids, because the parent has to now put so much of their time and effort into work and invest in work. But the companies also have to understand, allow these parents some time to invest in their children.
Yes.
Sometimes parents, it's hard for them to take a day off just to be part of their children's lives in school, or go to a parent-teacher meeting. It's the question of, well, you have to do work first. In order for our society to become a society of community again, which I feel is lacking, and our kids are running amok in the street because parents are constantly working, and it's everyone that's working now. It's not just, there's people staying at home. It's everyone that has to make a living to survive. So who is guiding these children while everyone is working? It's other children, and sometimes other kids who lack the guidance of their parents is leading your kids. So even though sometimes they know the right thing to do, I think it's easier to do something negative than to do something that's positive. So it's easier for a negative person to pull you in to do something than I feel the other way around to get a positive person to pull the negative person and say, hey, come on this side of the track. So I think our country needs to realize that. That's why I honestly like the balance of some parents remote working. Yeah, I think that's one of the best things that happened in COVID. And I know some corporate companies don't like that, but you know what? During the week, there has to be one day the parent is home to supervise, especially if they have their children. There has to be one day where they can work in their schedule where they could go to the game. They can, they can go to the school and visit their children so the kids know they're present. It's not only being present in the home. Kids need to know that you are present in their life. And a lot of kids feel like my mom was never there. My dad was never there because they were always working. I hear kids say that all the time. So companies do need to take responsibility in giving parents an additional day off. That's why I don't mind the 4-day work week, working 10 hours a day. I'd rather, do something like that and have 1 weekday off where I know, okay, I can be present for my kid. Let me run to the PTA meeting. Let me run and talk to the teacher. Let me meet my kids for lunch and say hi, because those little things matter in a kid's life. And I feel like we need it more than ever. Instead of overworking the parent, yes, I understand it's about profit, but also what makes a community resilient is each parent taking responsibility for their children to become amazing citizens, because this is the next generation that's going to be taken care of and we're passing the baton to. So community is important. Corporations are important in this too, because they are part of the community. Correct. In giving the parents the flexibility to be part of their children's lives and not make the parent feel guilty or make the parent feel like you have to choose. Okay, you're either coming to work or that's insane. And that's why I had to express this because I feel so passionate about it. A lot of parents do want to be present in their kid's life, but it's like they don't really have a choice, because it seems like work and corporations feel like the parents should be here more than they should be active in their kid's life. And having Saturday or Sunday off is not that time. You're running around 2 days. It's really like a day and a half you have, because those are your days off. And your kids are in the car with you, but you still not spending quality time. Like you're going from one place to the other. Right. Like you're going. And then I love when we used to have Sundays off, because that forced the family to actually be together. Yes. You remember like a lot of things were closed on Sundays, like growing up. There wouldn't be that many places that were open on Sundays because they said, okay, Sunday was family day. Sunday is a day that maybe you go to church, maybe you have dinner together, maybe you commute. Like the community came together and they didn't have the responsibility of working because everyone had that day off. Yes. Right? Yes. Correct. Now it's profit now. Like that's why I was so saddened when they had Thanksgiving. They were thank God they changed it, but Thanksgiving companies were open for Thanksgiving. I was like, why? It's crazy. Yes. The one day that this person could be with their family, you're forcing them to go to work for profit. Like, so I'm happy they changed it back. So how do you feel? How do you think we can all work together as a community, corporations, small businesses, schools, to help understand that we are all in this together? The products of our children, we are all responsible for, because it can't just be work, profit. We also have to have that quality time to be with our children and not be sick. Like I have to call in sick just so I can spend time with my children. That is ridiculous. It is. So what do you think in this society now that we can tell the parents how to manage trying to be there for both things that are important in their lives? Well, one thing you brought out, which, corporations should really understand, it's hard for them per se to find quality
people. Well, you're not allowing parents to create quality people by not spending time together. So if corporations valued family life, knowing that these parents are raising the employees that you are looking for, it's like it's a trickle down, roll
It's like
down
a domino effect. It's a domino effect.
Yeah, so it's like you're suffering because you're focusing on the profits, but you're not giving parents the flexibility to help raise these productive citizens of society. So there has to be a mindset change there. And then also, I don't know if I'm stretching this too far. You can tell me if I am, but we have to get to non-negotiables or be able to negotiate in contracts or when I take a job. There are days I just won't work, and that is on Sunday. I mean, there has to be something that, I used to be a director of a child care center, and in those 90 days, I would say, this is a time for me to evaluate you, but it's also time for you to evaluate me. Do you really want to work here? And so parents, we have to be willing to say, have those non-negotiables. No, I can't work for a company that works on Sunday. Or if I'm working for a company and they're asking me, can I come in on a Sunday? No, my family is more important. We have to stand up for what we believe in. I value my family. I value my children. Yes, I love this job. I need money to succeed, but we have to work together so that everybody can win. It's like you said, there were days where, and back in the times where Sunday, nothing was open. Everybody was spending quality time with their family because nothing was open. And I remember visiting my daughter in Germany. She was in the Air Force. And on Sundays, you can't go anywhere. Nothing is open. So we shouldn't depend or wait for somebody to have to force us to be with our family. It has to be our choice. And so we have to rise up and maybe get in front of lobbyists, whoever we have to do in our government. The family is important because you came from a family. You have people make companies run. When people aren't healthy, then the company's not healthy. Think about all the companies that are, crying about the absentee rate of the company. Well, like you said, people are calling off because they need a mental health day for themselves. If they're not 100 working for you, they're not 100 working for their children. So then those children are suffering. So everybody's suffering. We just don't realize how we're suffering. So my point is, as a parent, you have to have some non-negotiables. No.
Got it.
Or when you're taking a job or selecting a project that you're working on, you have to set the parameters. I work from 9 to 5. Now, occasionally, if something happens, but not on an everyday basis where you're requiring 100% of me and I have nothing left for my family. Because at the end of the day, a corporation can close. A corporation will lay you off without notice. Your family.
But you know what? The time you have with your kids, you can never get back.
You can never get that
never get back.
Never.
Yeah, you can get another job again, but you can never get that time again with your children.
So it's like, maybe, if we as the parent or the worker, if we start standing up for ourselves, saying what we're not, what we can do, what we're absolutely refusing to do. I remember one time, this one job I had, and they asked me to do something on a Sunday, and I couldn't because I go to church. I'm active in my church. I'm the leader. So no, I can't do it. And so it felt like they were trying to stop me. But guess what was more important to me? My commitment to what I was doing. How you felt about me really doesn't matter if I'm doing my work 100%. I let you know up front that this was a day that I just absolutely can't because I have other obligations. They have to honor that. And I can't allow anybody to make me feel bad because I want to support my family. there again, it goes back to, you have to take control over your life. You take control over your life. You take control over your choices, and you take control over your family. It goes back to, you are valuable to the success of your family and your children. And having good mental health begins with you and your choices.
And I just want to say, closing note, you are so right. And I'm so proud of you, Deborah Morgan, Miss Morgan. You came up with so many gems and so many valid points that I hope the audience out there will take and, you know, try to make it their own. But let's start being more selfless and less selfish. So I want to thank everyone for joining. I'm Proud of You Sis. I'm host Danni Benson. Thank you so much for Deborah for coming on the show. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Bye, everybody.